Hey everybody, welcome. Continuing reading of Hamza Yusuf's book, his commentary on Imam Mawlud's poetry. Let's continue, okay? Helen Keller once said that there is no slave in this world that did not have a king somewhere in his ancestry, and that there is no king that did not have a slave somewhere in his ancestry. Oh snap! Oh snap! This world has peaks and valleys. Nothing in creation is permanent. To spend time and energy seeking permanence in the fleeting things of the world, like praise, and to neglect what lasts forever with our Maker is the summit of human folly. Okay, so that's right. So don't seek anything here in a certain permanent sense. I mean, one of the really interesting examples is clearly you could just the way in which the institutions are attacking certain parts of history and information, and it's a little weird. So you could do so many things, but the next generation could not like you and take away what you thought your legacy of permanence was going to be. It's like you literally never know. You literally just never know. I mean, think about it. Before the tribes were here, right? They're just here. They have like the Lakota, the Cheyenne, the Choctaw, the Apache, all of them. And now there's like Walmarts and Apple stores and Burger King on top of their land, their hunting grounds, and big hospitals and buildings. Who could have predicted that for them? Right? They used to sit under the stars and the beauty with wild bison, deer, crows, and clean water. Not super clean, but way cleaner than now. No roads like these concrete highways. And it's all different now, and there's homeless people and drug addicts, prostitution, gangbangers, and slimy office people in their fancy suit who just are narcissistic sociopaths. And then just a lot of weirdness in the world. Imagine, right? So it's like those chiefs who tried to like do their best to help their tribe survive, trying to give a legacy and territory to their descendants, just gone. And even the people who came over, the colonists, when they was fighting with other, when the Irish fought the Italians and the Italians are fighting the Jewish people and everybody's not getting along, and this Sicilian boss and this Calabrian boss wanted that part of New York, all of it, nothing, none of it, and it's all like something different now. It's crazy. We don't know what's going to be in the future, so why are we so obsessed with trying to be like on the Forbes top whatever? Man, it's such a good point. Hence one must recognize that there is no harm or benefit except with God, who purifies the heart of vain pursuits and ostentation. The Imam then discusses another manifestation of ostentation, namely performing acts of worship in order to be entrusted with the wealth of an orphan and then misusing it for personal needs. That's terrible. That would be so sad. There's really people like that in the world. This is hypocrisy, one of the most despised characteristics and most damnable. Another offensing involving ostentatious display of piety is in the desire for worldly benefit. Okay, so for me, when I think of worldly benefit, I don't think of a home or like, good laundry soap or a yard, right? Those to me are like just things that every human would like. Worldly benefit is like Bugatti, right? You got like a fancy watch, you spend $200 on shoes, just nonsense, right? Have like 20 different perfumes and each one's like $150. Like, to me, that's some just like worldly benefits of clout, right? It's just too much. An example of this is taking advantage of an endowment established for religious purposes and using it for something else, which happens a lot, and it's so sick. It's really just crazy, man. The same is true for any fundraising for religious objectives, which is diverted to other ends. The level of depravity in such fraud is staggering. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's audacious, is it not? A lesser form of ostentation is displaying good works to keep the scorn and criticism of others at bay. This is cursed by knowing that God's will cannot be thwarted. Only He possesses the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and only He recompenses people for their actions in two abodes, in this world and in the hereafter. So don't do it just because you want to be like, oh, I want everyone to know I'm doing this or that. So like, think about it. Someone could say, I'm going to go on a mission. Like, let's say one of my Mormon friends, they say, well, I have to go on my mission because if I don't go on my mission, they won't accept me in the community, so I guess I gotta go. I guess I'll pick this country and just go for it. And then they go and they don't really want to go, and they're talking to all the natives there, and it's like they don't really care, and then he's like, and he just gives a bad representation of his faith, and then he thinks that's sufficient to get him into, the other higher realm, which clearly here, from an Islamic perspective looking out, that wouldn't work. So you gotta do it sincerely. I think the caveat here, though, is that you gotta find what it is that is good works that you will enjoy doing when you do it, and it has to like relate to your interests, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't want to tutor somebody in chemistry as a good deed. I'd be like, I hate it. But if someone's like, hey, do you want to mow my lawn, right, or trim my tree shrubs, and I gotta go on like to this office meeting or whatever, I gotta go on vacation, will you watch my yard for me and take care of it? I'd be like, sure, yeah, you ain't gotta pay me, I'll do it for you. Like, that's a good deed. You see what I'm saying? Like, I would have more fun doing that. So I think it's about, we gotta find what we like, and if it's good, that's a good work that you can keep doing, and do it to be authentic because you like it, and you can't do it just because it's like, oh, like, you're gonna go to the food bank, but you don't give a crap about people who are really hungry, and you don't do anything other than out of it. You kind of just want to do it. The honor society kind of does some of that a little bit in a weird way, where it's like you have to go and do these things, and this shows the organization that you're good. And you have to have a certain amount of points at the end of every semester in order to get the symbol on your transcript. And something, and that can be like, oh, and they don't give you too many options of like what you can do, and then you're like forcing yourself to do it, and when you're doing it, you're a little resentful. So here it's like, from a religious perspective, instead of like a bureaucratic, society, academic perspective, this would make a lot of sense. Is like, you got to do the good works with sincerity, and he mentioned that before, and it's been quite clear through reading the tafsir that you have to be sincere. Otherwise, it's just like, what are you doing? Okay, now we're in poem verses 87 through 94. Here we go. It is also cured by being always conscious of its harm, which results in detesting it and thus warding it off. That is its theoretical treatment, and veiling one's actions from the eyes of others is practical treatment. Has it frequent recitations of Surah al-Ikhlas and the Master supplication for forgiveness? As for a chronically diseased heart that results from showing off one's good works, his too will find a cure in this, and what a cure. As for a type of hypocrisy that involves concealing one's wrong actions or some sexual impropriety, this is in fact an obligation. Okay, so if it involves concealing one's wrong actions, there's an obligation. Hold on. Ibn Zukri elucidated, as for what relates to the permissible, adorning oneself with its falls between recommended and prohibited. For the seeker of knowledge or someone desiring to show the blessings of wealth, it is recommended. Included in this is some visiting a brother for the sake of God, or any other well-intended deed for that matter, unless you desire thereby haughtiness or boastful competition, then it would be considered prohibited. Haughtiness, or boastful, so you gotta watch out for that. Yeah, pretty much, yeah, because if you have ostentation, it's really gonna get into that. But here, this is interesting though. You cure it by detesting it, and that'll help it. So when you feel it come on, you essentially have to really kind of like, go away, like push it off. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, is how he's framing it. Alright, let's see. He says treatment. Being aware of the harm associated with ostentatious is an effective treatment in itself. So when we feel ourselves becoming ostentatious, we have to ask ourselves, remember this is not gonna let me do the wear, just get it out of here, right? And then that'll help us.